back to another episode of My Soul Connection. I'm your host, Billy K. Kavert. Today I'm joined by Hollis Tuttle, a true California girl who embodies sunshine and radiates vitality. From her roots as a high school athlete in Sonoma to competing as a collegiate athlete while studying nutritional science, she developed a lifelong passion for understanding the connection between body, mind, and soul. Her career has taken her from the San Diego and New York fitness scenes to becoming a Lululemon studio trainer with a national following. Now, through her House of Hustle app and international retreats, Hollis shares her beliefs that health is the gateway to the soul. She teaches that movement is medicine for both body and mind, that strength training builds confidence, and that real change begins with small, consistent habits. We also explore the journey of wellness in midlife, how nutrition can be about gaining, not losing, how physical challenges can spark emotional release, and how celebrating small wins keeps us motivated. We also dive into the deeper side of healing, learning to balance masculine and feminine energy, finding spiritual grounding in nature, and understanding that aging gracefully is about health, not just appearance. This episode is an invitation to see wellness as more than fitness. It's about connection, growth, and embracing the full journey of the body, mind, and spirit. I hope you're inspired by this conversation with Hollis Tuttle.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here. It's so great to see you. So I'm excited.
Well, I really want to start by telling the audience how we know each other, because I think it's kind of an interesting story how our paths have crossed again so much later in life. We actually grew up in the town of Sonoma, a little wine country town, and in Northern California, and went to high school together, and I think middle school too.
Yep.
But we never really ran in the same circles. We kind of always had a different set of friends, and I think we were very friendly acquaintances. I always really liked you. We chatted here and there, but we weren't like good friends type of thing. And then you were also an athlete in high school, as was I, but we were never in the same sports. I think you were soccer and volleyball, and I was softball.
Yep.
So, but that's always another kind of mutual connection you have with people, because I think all the athletes on campus kind of respected each other for their own respective sports. So that was kind of
100%.
something we shared. And I used to ride the bus to our softball games with your brother, who was playing tennis at the time. And so I got to know your brother that way. I don't know if you know that. Oh yeah, we ended up becoming friends on the bus to tennis and softball. So
That's
funny.
amazing.
And you were, of course, friends with my brother too. So
Yes.
yeah, it's all intertwined, just like Sonoma is.
Exactly. And that's what I love so much. I love that our Venn diagrams are overlapping in so many different ways. And now, like, the fact that we're connecting is just like adding to it. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think the only time that I saw you in the last 31 years, which is how long we've been graduated, which is nuts. I know. I know. We just had our 30-year reunion last year, so now it's like the numbers are in my head. But I think the last time I saw you was at our 20-year reunion, and I don't think we've talked or seen each other since then. So I didn't know what you were up to, honestly, over the last however many years. But I had heard that you were like this ultra fitness guru, and you had this great Instagram page and following. And so my friends know that I'm really into health and fitness, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you should check her out." And I started following you, and I'm like, wow, I'm really inspired by everything that you're doing and just how dedicated you were to your craft. I could tell that it was coming from a real place of authenticity, and that you were just meant to do this. Like you are it. When I looked up your website, I noticed on there, even you said you have a statement that says you curate workouts designed to build muscle and mind-body connection. And I was like, well, who better to have on the podcast to discuss this subject than about kind of how health is the gateway to your soul than Hollis Tuttle.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, I've always been an athlete, and I loved athleticism. And when I went to Poly, I had the grand idea of going into medicine, to help heal people. And my degree is actually in nutrition with a bunch of extra sciences, to qualify for medical school. And then after I graduated, I was like, I'm not feeling it.
Interesting. I saw that you had a nutrition science degree, but I didn't know that was the end goal, was to go into medicine. So
yeah, exactly. And then I went into real estate development to learn business, because I didn't have much business experience at all, and did that for about 10 years. And then when I turned 30, I had like my quarter life crisis.
Your quarter life. Yeah, I like that.
I wasn't happy doing what I was doing. And on paper, it looked great, and I decided to go back into wellness, but decided to be on the front end of
Mm-hmm.
wellness. So helping people live more healthful lives through nutrition, of course, but also through moving their bodies. And those two, of course, go together, but you can't forget about the heart and soul. It's a big part of it as well. So
Sure.
everything that I've done since that point has been with that in mind. And it's always been some sort of little deviation here or there, but that's always been my like home base. Yeah. So I'm so happy to hear you
Gotcha.
see that, like feel that. So thank you.
That's interesting. I love hearing the background because I was going to ask you about that anyway. And not to in any way slight the medical community or somebody who wants to pursue becoming a doctor, but I think just hearing you kind of talk about your path, like we all know that it all starts from good nutrition, good health. You don't have to go see the doctor if you're taking care of all those things, right? You're not going to have these chronic problems. And so I'm sure you probably recognize that you have more influence on keeping people healthy in the field that you're in than you would if you're kind of taking care of them after the fact, after they're coming to you with a medical condition.
Exactly. And that's the goal, helping people live more healthful lives, longer healthful lives, right? So
Right.
when we talk about longevity, you think about your health span. So a lot of my clients are around my, our age, right?
Hmm.
Middle aged, and they want to be strong and healthy and vibrant, and so that they can continue to do all the things that they love to do, but also they're looking at their children and they want to be able to stay connected to their kids and then perhaps their grandkids. So there's a greater purpose there. And then
Hmm.
I also feel like we can be that inspiration to the younger generation too. It's never too early to start to live a more
For
healthful life, right?
sure.
I mean, we can get away with a lot when we're in our teens and in our 20s and maybe squeak it into our 30s. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, oh, I can't do that anymore.
No, for sure. Oh my gosh. I'm actually sometimes I look back at how it's not that I don't want to say that my parents weren't like living a healthy lifestyle, but definitely not compared to today's standards and what we would consider healthy. Like we were eating a lot of processed foods and we were not necessarily super focused on getting vegetables, and like organic wasn't even a thing back then. And maybe didn't need it as much back then either based on kind of how our agriculture has changed and the way we farm and stuff. But my kids, I was adamant about teaching them good health from a young age. And granted, I'm not going to lie, it's a constant battle with them because they know that they should be doing this, but they don't want to. And they're like, we're kids, leave us alone. So there's like it's always trying to strike the balance. But I know that it's seeping in somehow because I'll hear them say something about gut health. And I'm like, what did I just hear? I'm like, okay, I'm having an influence. And they go to the gym all the time with me and they play football and, they're very active. And so I hope that, all this is rubbing off on them. And I think it is.
It is. And if it makes you feel any better, my parents, were always very health focused, and like we
Hmm.
had a garden growing up year round. They still have their year round garden. And my mom
Awesome.
was always really adamant about multiple greens on the table. We always had family dinner. Like that was a really big deal in my family. And my way of rebelling when I was in junior high was to eat and it's it for lunch because I'd be like, haha, mom doesn't know I'm eating it.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
And then, of course, like a complete reversal, right? And I just giggle over the fact that that's how I was rebelling against her. And
Right.
now I can't even imagine having it. It's it for lunch. But I told her that story. She thought it was hysterical. She's like, I had no idea that that's what you were doing for lunch. But she's like, I'm glad that, it was just a phase that I
Yeah.
had to
And
grow
if
out
that's
of.
as rebellious as you got, I'll handle it. Oh, I'll take
Yeah.
it, right? Yeah.
And so now it's like I'm always so thankful for the way that I was raised. And so for me, eating vegetables is second nature. And, I
Right.
don't have to worry about like building a really healthful meal. I fully understand it, but it was a period of my life.
Yeah. Well, and to give people hope out there too, if even if you didn't grow up like that, where you had that kind of constantly reinforced, which I didn't. I mean, we weren't terrible. I'm not saying like we had this terrible diet or
Yeah.
anything. But and we always ate together, sat down at the table together. But there just wasn't like a hyper focus on healthy food. But I came around at some point. I just like it was really somehow it was just going to come out of me. And my brother's like that too. He's really healthy. He makes a lot. We eat very much the same way. We talk about it all the time. And so you can train yourself, and you will acclimate to certain foods and you can change your lifestyle and your habits pretty easily if you just get focused on it. So
Yeah, I agree.
what I wanted to start with today is the idea that our bodies are the gateways to our soul, and really kind of dig deep into the spiritual aspect of being healthy and how healthy eating, healthy living, exercise and just lifestyle in general can kind of open up that path for you. And then toward the end, talk a little bit more about some of the specifics, like the key pillars to staying healthy, and give people some really healthy, or not healthy, but helpful practical tips, some things that they can do quickly to make changes and that are really noticeable in their life. And you mentioned us being in kind of our midlife ages. It's like a lot of people would say that we're past our prime. I mean, we're both going to be 49 in a month.
Right.
And it's like people say stuff about getting old and that they're not in their prime, and I'm always like, "You know what? I disagree. I feel great. I feel better than I did in my 20s and 30s. And granted, I take better care of myself, but I don't think that we have to look at it that way." And so I just kind of want to reframe, the whole age topic too. So I don't know if
100%.
you feel the same way.
Um, I wholly believe that age is just a number, and that, you know, we've been almost conditioned to think that once you hit a certain age, like you said, or like over the hill, or you can expect, to gain weight, to lose muscle, to go gray, to, lose your energy, to lose your libido, to like everything just like what falls away. And it's so not true, right?
Hmm.
When you make those decisions to actually pour into yourself, it
Right.
comes and
Right.
comes back in such a greater way. And it's really not that hard. Like, you know?
Yeah. And I actually do want to get into that a little bit more, because it's not to say that everybody's making excuses or that people don't have things that come up. Like, for example, I mean, we're getting into this age where our hormones are going to be changing, or already are. I mean, mine certainly already are. And I'm having certain side effects and stuff like that. And I know a lot of women who get into their late 40s, early 50s are feeling that, and they're feeling depressed, and they're not feeling motivated, and their sleep is messed up, and they are gaining weight in ways that they didn't before, where it's not so easy. But I also think it's like preparing yourself as best as possible with the things that you can control going into that phase and through that phase will only help you, right? I mean, I think we can both agree, because we've kind of just touched on this, that, health affects really everything that we do. And when we're feeling good and we're healthy, we can focus on other priorities in life. And when we're feeling really good and super strong and fit, it's like you feel like you're on top of the world and you can conquer anything. But when it's bad, especially if you're dealing with like a debilitating accident or a disease, or just anything that's health related that kind of takes over, it gets you to a place where you have to drop everything. And people find that they, can't focus on anything else except getting back to good health. And I think that really affects people mentally and emotionally too. So what's your take on all that in terms of how to motivate well, I don't think you need to motivate yourself. I already think you're very self-motivated, and you've been in the habit for a very
Yes.
long time of taking care of yourself. But let's talk about when you're helping others, clients. How do you help your clients really recognize the need to prioritize their health over anything else, at least until they get it to a place where they can sort of stabilize and maintain where they're at? Like where you and I are at, we're probably in a kind of a maintenance mode now. And so it's not that hard for us because we've just built this habit. But what about for people who are struggling to create that habit? Is there any wisdom you can share there?
Such a great question. Start small.
Yeah.
I think that people have great intention,
Hmm.
and they want to do A, B, C, D, E, maybe even F, right? Then someone
Right.
was throwing G, and you're like, like I always say, pump the brakes.
Hmm.
And I'll pick one or two max things that we'll focus on first and foremost when we first start to work together. And usually pulling the biggest levers first, sleep and movement. So once we establish those habits, then we can start to build upon it, and recognizing that it's not a straight line, it's a squiggly
Mm.
line, and that as
Hmm.
making progress, that's what counts. So, um, just a lot of support along the way, and starting small, and moving at a pace that's comfortable to that individual client, because everybody can move at a different rate, and it all depends on that particular person and what they're working on, and then what else is going on around them in their life. So it's figuring out like how to support um, and allow them to make that progress with mistakes, right? So like a lot
Mm-hmm.
of it, to give yourself grace and then like dusting off and getting back up and moving forward again. And then celebrating the wins. It's super, super important to celebrate the wins and circle back to how do you feel now, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because remember how good you feel because you've been able to, consistently hit your sleep goals for 5 of the past 7 days. So now let's look at that week moving forward. What can we do to help ensure that we can hit that 5 again? How do we need to manipulate your schedule? How do we need to, prepare so that way you're set up for success? So then they learn to put the necessary steps into place to help meet that habit, right? So it's all about empowering them to make the decisions to help themselves feel better because
Mm-hmm.
everyone feel better, but a lot of people don't know how good they can feel because they haven't felt that good in a long time.
Right.
So that's a huge awareness, right? It's like, oh wow, I actually do feel better. That
Right. They
feels
don't know what they don't know. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. So I think that's a really big part of it is helping just give them tools because I can't be with them all the time, nor do I want to be with them all the time. My goal is to build their toolbox so they have their tools. So it's like I'm always in their back pocket, one way or the other, in the shape of a tool, and they know what to pull out when they need to pull it out.
Right. I love that you say you start with sleep because I think sleep is so, so important. And it's something I've really tried to get a better handle on for myself in the last 10 years, like really dialing it in. And I've had, ups and downs, but I find that if I don't get a good night's sleep, or especially if it's happening on a consistent basis, like nothing else goes smoothly, whether it's my diet, my exercise plan, my work, my brain fog, everything else is jacked up.
Yeah.
So I love that that's your one of, that and the exercise part is your number one habit building thing as opposed to start micromanaging their diet. Like you're like, let's start with sleep first so you can get your mind right so that when you do start on the nutrition aspect, you're probably feeling better and thinking more clearly and able to handle more of the ups and downs because you're rested.
100%. You're able to make more clear decisions,
Yeah.
right? You have to have like that clear mind to make that helpful decision, especially in the beginning when you're learning something new, right? So when you're tired, it's easy to fall back on old habits, but when
Mm,
you're energized, it's a little bit easier to try something new,
right.
you know?
I catch myself saying, like when I get really, really tired or overwhelmed, even if it's not necessarily lack of sleep, but it's if I just get stressed, busy, overwhelmed, or tired, all of the above, I'll find myself like reaching for something in the pantry that I shouldn't be eating, and I'll be like,
Yeah.
I don't care right now, and
Right.
like I don't give a shit, and I'll just go reach for it, and then I'm like, stop, Kay. Yes, you do give a shit. You're just tired. You're just stressed. Like in those moments, it's almost better for me just to go lay down and close my eyes for 10 minutes or do a little meditation or something and kind of get my mind back in focus and feel clear again, and then I can start making decisions again. So,
Exactly. And I
yeah.
do give clients daily step goals just to help with overall movement. We talk a lot about little movement snacks. And if you're tired, the last thing you want to do is get up and take a 10-minute walk or a 15-minute walk after lunch or like after dinner.
Mhm.
So it's so much easier to let that slide. Oh, I'm tired or I'm too tired or, I was just tired and I couldn't go to the grocery store. Or I was tired and I couldn't do my steps or I was tired and I couldn't, do the workout. So if we remove that obstacle,
Mhm.
right, then it opens the door for success.
Yeah.
So
What did you call it? You said a 10-minute little something break? You said,
a workout snack or a movement snack.
"Oh, okay. A movement snack." I like that. That's
Movement
a
snack.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah, it
mean,
doesn't have to be all at once. It doesn't have to be a big movement meal. Like people think that, oh, I have to go to the gym for a whole hour or, whatever. No, give me 10 minutes after breakfast or give me 15 minutes after lunch or, 10 minutes before dinner. Like you can add it up and it all makes a difference.
yeah. I just yesterday, in fact, I was on my computer all day and I have a sit stand desk, so I'm not always
Yeah.
sitting. I try and move around a lot while I'm working, but way too much time on the computer. And I was so just mentally fatigued afterward. And I was like, oh God, I just want to lay down. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to take the dog for a walk because it was really nice weather yesterday. And I just took her out on like a 10-minute little, 15-minute little loop or something. Just super, I wasn't trying to get exercise. I was just trying to get a mental break. And just having the sun on my face and being outdoors and moving, I felt so much better when I came back. It's like, that's all I needed. Yeah.
I
I
know.
love
It's
that.
crazy. Yeah.
The other thing to touch on there is like as you're caring for your body through good nutrition, movement, strength training, all that kind of stuff, I think that it really grounds us in the present moment too. I'm always very, whenever I'm working out, I mean, granted, it's not always easy for me to get to the gym or to get motivated to start, but once I'm out doing it, whether it's on a run or a walk or doing yoga or weightlifting, which are those are kind of my things that I do all on a regular basis, I get into a pretty meditative state. We talk about meditation a lot, but it's really more of a mindfulness practice, I should say, where you just are very in tune to what you're doing in those moments, and it keeps me grounded afterward too. So if I'm stressed or nervous energy or anxiousness or any of that, I always bounce out of that, after a
Mm.
workout. So how do you think that physical practices help people feel more connected to themselves and just be really present in the moment?
Well, movement is medicine, right?
Mhm.
Many ways. And as a lifelong mover, I am incredibly grateful um, for the ability to move my body because I feel like it's carried me through some really low lows
Mm.
and it's allowed me to experience some really high highs. And like I write in a gratitude journal every morning, and I often write, like, I am grateful for the ability to run. I'm grateful for the ability to lift. I'm grateful that I get to go to the gym. Like it is a huge part of my life and it does not go unnoticed. And I appreciate it so much. I never want to lose that appreciation. And especially in the role that I have and as a guide with my clients, like it's really important that they see and feel that authenticity as well. Um, and it's always helped me maintain faith in myself to give me the confidence to live a life that I truly want to live.
Mhm.
And if I didn't have the connection that I have to my body, I don't think I would be living as full of a life as I am, if that makes
I
sense.
totally
Uh,
agree, yeah.
so when I am running or when I am lifting, like you said, it's like it is like moving meditation. I am fully present in my being. I'm in my body. I'm really focusing on what it is that I'm doing. Like when I'm doing my long runs or like when I'm running ultras, people ask all the time, like, what do you think about? I'm like, oh, I don't know. I just run. Like
Yeah.
I just run. And there are moments when like kind of disappear, if you will. Like I just
Yeah,
like in that movement and you kind of like find a rhythm and it's really nice and I can hear my breath, I can hear my footsteps and everything is kind of like
totally.
moving really, really well. And like those moments are so priceless. And I always just feel like really good. And I finish that run. I was like, oh, that was amazing. Not every run is like that,
Mhm.
but that's why you keep going back. So you can get those moments. And then when I'm strength training, I'm very focused on like the muscle groups that I'm working. And sometimes like I'll close my eyes a lot
Mm.
just so I can think about the muscles that I want to activate, that I want to use to move that weight, whether it's a dumbbell, kettlebell, barbell, whatever it may be, so that I'm fully connected, right? And everything is working together. My breath is working with my body and I'm moving that weight and struggling through that challenge. And when I'm practicing yoga, it's very similar and working with breath, working with the movement and like that they all work together. And so I don't think there's any way that you can separate the mind, the breath, the body, no matter what discipline, what modality you're practicing. When they are all connected, you feel that and it feels really magical. So it's like helping people establish that because not everybody has that connection between their brain and their body. If weight training is a skill, whether it's
Mhm.
barbell or a kettlebell, yoga, it's a skill, right? We show up to practice. And we practice every day to get a little bit better because we have to establish that connection between all parts. So,
I'm glad you mentioned that that it's not like that for everybody, because I think it's one of those things that it's just like anything else. You do have to get practice at it before you're going to feel what we're describing here. And I'm the same way. I'm a runner as well. I'm not an ultra marathon runner though. I've only done one marathon in my whole life on my 40th birthday, and I've done a lot of half marathons. And I think I might do another marathon on my 50th, just because
Yes.
I kind of like miss training for it. I love the whole process, but I still run regularly, and I have that same feeling that you do about it. But it's not going to come on the first day that you go out and put your tennis shoes on if you've never run before. And same with weightlifting. I have a lot of women that talk to me about, want to know about weightlifting. And I'm like, you're not going to feel great at it the first couple times. You've got to establish a pattern, and, it's going to take several weeks or months for some people before they feel like they even know what they're doing. And then there's a point where it will click. I don't care what exercise we're talking about, by the way. We're talking yoga, running, and weightlifting, but I've had to swim before, because I was going through PT because of a knee injury from running. And the physical therapist was like, okay, well, it looks like you're going to be getting in the pool for your exercise. I'm like, oh God, I don't swim. I'm not a swimmer. And it was hard. I really struggled with it for the first probably 2 weeks. And then after a while, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really digging this. Swimming is a very meditative thing. It's very peaceful when you're actually out there doing laps. Once you kind of get your breath down and everything else, still not a swimmer, but it's the same thing. It just takes practice and repetition, and then you will eventually feel what we're talking about. So I think it's a good point.
And that's part of why I love movement so much, is because you have the opportunity to be humbled. Everybody should be a beginner at anything, because the journey of learning something new is so exciting. Like when you had your first really good swim, you're like, gosh, I remember when I would like sink.
Yeah.
Now I
or can make it past 2 laps without like dying cardiovascularly.
Those little moments feel so good, right? It's like that's that reminder that like you're alive and you're breathing, that you have this opportunity to create. And so, if something's like scary, try it, and you, fail. Great. It's a learning opportunity. At least you tried, and you have to like put your toe in the water in order to try. Right. So it's like, and to get over the fact, like, it's not going to be beautiful. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be great. It's going to be sloppy. It's going to be messy. You may fall down, like that's okay. Like as a culture, we need to get more okay and celebrating those falls and looking silly and looking ugly, and let it go, and just allowing for what is going to happen, and not worry about how it quote unquote looks, on the outside. People get really nervous about going to the gym. Like, what are people going to think when I'm lifting? I'm like, oh, they're not looking at you. They're
exactly
about themselves. So don't worry about what you do. It's totally fine. But I understand that it can be a really intimidating place. I get it. I am horrible at dancing. Really nervous and very uncomfortable when I go to dance classes, and like I'll tuck myself into the back corner, so it's always a good reminder to be in that realm as well for me. Like, oh, it's a little
to do something that's out of your comfort zone. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So speaking of being more grounded as you're working through these things on your fitness journey, have you had a chance to witness any of your clients like personally have a real shift mentally or emotionally after they've kind of gotten past that initial stage of the newness and the challenge of it and the discomfort?
So much. This is what will make me cry. This is what I love. I love what I get to do, because I get to help other women really like uncover themselves, right? They've just been
hiding.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a lot of it, of course, because I focus on strength training, a lot of it happens in their home weight room. And, I build personalized training programs based upon the modalities that they have at home. And they're normally starting off with smaller weights. Some of them are, are a little bit more advanced, but most of them have been kind of just utilizing the little weight tree, right? And maybe have a bench, maybe not. Maybe a pull-up bar, maybe not. And then as we start to progress, they start to add new things into their gym. Then they have to buy like the heavier weights, and then all of a sudden they're like, I need more weights, and I need a barbell, and I need a pull-up bar, and and it's so exciting to see that, because they're actually like experiencing that progression. But I think what is such a gift is that I receive messages every single day. I did this and I never thought it was possible. Or
Mm,
I lifted a 35-pound dumbbell over my head today and just think I started with a 10-pound dumbbell. The fact that I am able to celebrate in all of those little victories is like the best feeling ever. I feel so incredibly fortunate. I feel like it just trickles down too, right? But yeah, I mean, my clients just make me cry all the time. I just get very connected to them, like, because I'm on the journey too, and it's
yeah,
like, um, a lot of my clients, and I'll be very honest, will come to me because they want to change the outer appearance.
right.
And a lot of that has to do with the shift of body composition. So a lot of that has to do with losing body fat, gaining muscle. But what I focus on is never losing something, it's gaining. So
Good. Yeah.
we're going to gain muscle. We're going to gain confidence. We're going to gain abilities. We're going to gain a new skill. We're going to um, eat differently. We're going to eat with that in mind. So
Hmm.
eat to support our gains, because I think that we've been so conditioned to get smaller, to reduce, to take out. I can't, I can't, I can't. I was like, F that. I want to
Right.
that narrative to I can, I get to, I want that. I want to be stronger. I want to be able to lift whatever it is. And so in that journey, they've lost 10 pounds. They've lost 15 pounds. I had one client, she's lost 30 pounds. Like, and it's always like, I didn't even realize this
Yeah. Yeah.
was happening. I was like, I'm sneaky. I
Yeah.
sneak on you. So it's like, it's coming in kind of like through the back door,
Sure.
right? And it's
No,
kind of,
it's a really important perspective shift that they have to have. And it's I caught what you said earlier on one of the other questions where you were talking about, I get to go to the gym, I get to go on a run. I had somebody, I don't remember who it was who pointed it out to me, but when my kids were really little, I was super stressed out because I was just juggling so much, and they were very needy at that time, and I'm like trying to work and trying to take care of them in the morning and get them off to daycare, and it always seemed like such a stressful morning, and I had this attitude at the time, which is terrible, but I just got
it's
caught up in
permanent.
it where I was like, oh, it's so hard to I have to take, I have to do this and that with the kids, and I have to do that. And somebody's like, you should really consider the fact that your kids aren't always going to be with you. And you should kind of try to reframe it about, I'm able to. This is so nice that I work from home and I have the ability to stay home with my kids in the morning and get them ready for school and spend quality time with them. And I was like, oh my gosh, how did I not see that? I was looking
Yeah.
at it that way, and it's so true. Same with the gym or any exercise or physical activity or outdoor activity we want to do. It's like we are able-bodied and we should be very grateful that we are, and celebrate that. So I love that
Thank
perspective. That's really
Yeah.
important.
It's really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that it's something you kind of touched on a second ago, how women tend to live a life of like really hiding and stuff. And I think fitness journeys often require us to push back, or push through like old stories that we've built up around our lives, and maybe have to do with some past traumas that we haven't dealt with, and feelings of unworthiness and fear and feeling stuck, and just like a lot of inner roadblocks. And everyone's heard the expression, our issues are in our tissues. And so
Yeah.
what's your take on how movement enables us to release that, and just kind of create space for deeper like self-awareness and joy, and even just trying to kind of uncover your life's purpose? Like, how do you think fitness plays a role in that?
That's a deep question. Um, I feel like it's cleansing, right? Like when almost like when you're
Mm,
sweating, you're like
yeah.
sweat. um,
Yeah.
and I can only speak like for myself, of course, but it's like when I decided to leave my ex-husband, I don't think I would have had the strength to do so without having the experience training on the strength floor. And I was like
Mm,
newbie, and I was gaining a lot of understanding of my own capabilities and pushing through hard moments, seeing the progression in the weight room, walking taller, shoulders down, a little more proud. And if
mm-hmm.
I have that experience, I don't think I would have had the I was gonna say cojones.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Right?
The
I don't
guts. We'll see.
honestly had the cojones to walk away from that marriage.
Yeah.
That's always been such a driving force for me. So if I can help somebody process their traumas or anything that they need to process in this physical way, then all the better, right?
Hmm.
And it's just a good reminder that we do hold on to a lot and we need
Hmm.
to find some way to release it. And some people are able to release it through words better than others. Some
Hmm.
people to release it through movement. I go to movement.
Hmm.
So it's where I like find solace. And if I'm feeling emotions, I'll move and feel better. Like I feel like I can like expel them.
Hmm.
Um, it's just like one of the ways I think that can help like heal. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, heal through things. Yeah, definitely. I'm still learning to be able to use my words. I'm being very honest. Like
Hmm.
it's very hard for me to share that vulnerable side, to share the inside, right?
Hmm.
And so I'm working on that too.
Yeah, no,
It's
I'm in the same boat. I was thinking about the fact that, I mentioned doing the marathon for my 40th birthday, which was a huge feat for me. And I had never trained for anything that big. And then I got into I got into Spartan racing for a while, and I did like 4 Spartan races over the course of a year and a half or so. And two of the big ones that were like 17 milers in Lake Tahoe at the top of the mountain with 30 plus obstacles. I was like ripped and in the best shape of my life, and I was feeling great and had all this confidence. And it's funny, and I bring that up because it helped me gain that confidence and conquer, a lot of fear about what I was capable of. And so that helped me in a lot of ways. But I started to recognize after a while, because this was right about the time that I had a rock bottom moment in my marriage, and a lot of stuff just fell apart in my life. And I started seeking help through we went to a lot of counseling and stuff like that for the marital stuff, but I was also seeking coaching, and I went to a spiritual coach, and she kind of opened up that spiritual side of myself. And I started to recognize over time, I mean, this took quite some time to unpack it all, but I had always had the physical side, the physical release, but I wasn't addressing the emotional side. I was always burying that. I feel like I talk about this on every episode. Somehow it always comes up. But I grew up with a lot of masculine energy with my dad and my brother, and just the way
a
that I was treated in the household. And not that I was treated poorly, but just, well, my brother was pretty rough on me. I'm not going to lie. But
same.
was he? Oh, we'll have to talk about this offline.
Oh yeah.
You probably think Mark was so sweet, and I think Sam was so sweet, and we'll trade stories later.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. Yeah, so I had like a ton of masculine energy, and I actually had a really hard time learning how to be more feminine and soft and soften and listen to my emotions and tap into my intuition and all of that stuff. So we're living, I think, parallel lives. But once I learned to kind of like combine the two things, and that both were so important, and stop living in this like black and white either or
Yeah.
scenario, that's when I really started to flourish. It was just the combination of both things, and I stopped ignoring and suppressing my feelings and emotions. And I still very much rely on my physical practices to release like the physical energy. For me, it's like it sets the stage to be able to talk about things or to be able to write about things. I do a lot of writing now too. I'm like really big into kind of creative writing, and I'm going to be doing some blogs and stuff. And that I never really tapped into that stuff before. But so once I get the physical energy out, it's like I think you said it earlier. I can't remember the term you used, but it opens up space for the creative side to come out, for the emotions to come out, and for me to like really access that. And I've just had to learn to kind of operate more in that mode. So it sounds like you can relate.
100% to all of that. And
Hmm.
also it allows me to bring the calm back into life. It just gives me a little bit more clarity. It's like I release it, let it go, and then I can like focus in and have like, oh, okay, now I'm ready to talk about it.
Right.
you
Yes.
know, you're
It's
ready
like you
to
just
address.
need to have that moment to get it out of your system so you can think clearly and speak clearly. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I think that's one of the reasons, like when you talk about spirituality, it's like I did not grow up with organized religion at all. I'm very religious ignorant, but I consider myself very spiritual. And for me, it's like ultra running is the trifecta. I was going the ultimate trifecta. Because I am doing what I love. I'm out there moving my body. I'm running through nature. uh,
Mm-hmm.
through the woods or the trees. Normally, there are not a lot of other people out there.
Yeah.
And I feel like it is like a spiritual awakening every single time. Like I'm just in this like heightened state of bliss, like for lack of a better way to describe it. And so like I will not run with music. I will not run with anything in my ears. I just want to be like fully immersed in nature. And that is like when everything is like, oh,
Yeah. It's like you see the light and yeah.
Yes, exactly. And it's like, oh my gosh, how amazing is this? Like, I am able to experience like nature, my life, this day, this moment on like this whole different level. It's like, those are moments when I'm like, this is what I train for. Like, this is
Yeah.
what I do. So I can come out here and like be.
Yeah. And, this makes me think I did not spend enough time up front talking about what you actually do as physical practices, like running it's ultra marathons, right? They're like 50 Ks.
Oh, anything over 26 miles. So
Okay.
my normal like 50K to 50 miles is like kind of my sweet spot. I love like a
Okay.
good miler.
Oh my
Still
God. That's
trying.
insane.
Still working on getting over that, but yeah, it's a
Working
journey.
on getting over 50 miles.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just need a minute to process that. But I mean, I totally respect it because when you've run a marathon, you understand the training that's involved with it. But we're talking about a next level kind of spiritual moment that you have. And going back to your credentials, what are the additional certifications that you have before we move on?
Yeah, sure, of course. So I have a degree in nutrition, but I have additional certifications. I'm always looking for additional certifications. I'm always reading just because nutrition is always evolving, right?
Sure.
And I want to be able to help my clients in the best way possible. I'm also a certified personal trainer, but I specialize in strength training, in particular, kettlebells, barbells, and dumbbells. And I teach yoga. And so I like to like bring kind of all of that together. Um, and then I'm an ultra runner as well. So, I just competed in an ultra in May, and it's fun to like be out there with all those young kids and be like, "Ha,
Yep.
this, 50-year-old
You're like,
lady."
leave you in the dust. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So, I like how they all interplay, and I love changing my training schedule based upon the goal in mind. So when I was training for my last ultra, my strength training dropped, my yoga dropped, my running increased, and now that that's done, I'm like rebuilding my strength again and shifting back and I
Mm,
love that I can manipulate my training schedule based upon the goal and then just see the
right.
difference, feel the difference. Lifelong mover, it's fun, changes it up, gives it a little bit of variety. So I bring
Yeah.
all of that with me when I'm working with my clients. And I have a lot of clients who are runners, who are my age, who are continuing to run marathons and beyond. And so it's really nice to be able to help support them,
Hmm.
based on their experience and my experience, and we kind of talk through things together and share a lot of learnings.
Yeah. And I read that you were a triathlete in college, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even
Yeah.
realize that. Like, I was like, oh, I didn't know she went down that path. So do you still ever dabble in triathlons or?
But I am really good at sinking. I know I have these like
Yeah.
nice broad
So the
shoulders and
swimming
a big.
thing.
Yes, exactly. I was like, "Oh, I'm on you." And people always think that I must be a really good swimmer, but I think I'm just really dense. I have really dense bones. I don't know. I just get in the
Well,
water. It's
and
like,
you're
boom.
muscular, like you said, yeah, that,
Yeah. So I don't swim anywhere, especially like living here in New York City. There aren't a lot of places to swim,
okay.
and I don't bike much either, although I love cycling. It's just New York City scares the daylights out of me. I don't want to even s-
I
sit on a
cycled
bike.
all around New York City last summer when I was out there, and I loved
Oh.
it because I love being
Yeah.
able to see it like that. But yeah, it scared the shit out of me at certain
Yeah,
times.
exactly. But, whenever I can, I ride my bike, and I actually went to, the French Alps last May
Ooh,
and rented a bike and rode the Alps, and, it crushed me, but it was so fun. And once again, it was that reminder of, like, I'm so glad I'm strong, healthy, and fit so that I can go and do these amazing things. And the summer before that, I ran the Tour de Mont Blanc, and it's like, I can't imagine not being able to do those adventures, It's like I just
yeah,
feel like to live life on a whole other level. And it's like I just wish that people realize that they can too. You know, when people
Yeah.
say, "Oh, I wish I could do that." I was like, "No, but you
You can.
can.
Yeah.
You
You absolutely
can."
can.
You know?
I think it goes back to what you said earlier too about you don't know what you don't know, or you don't feel what you've never felt before, right? I remember the first time I did the Whole30 program. You're probably familiar with Whole30, right? I could not believe how great I felt after the 30 days. I mean, I was like, I did not realize how shitty I felt all the time. I didn't realize, I mean, I felt my normal was shitty. And had I known this 10 years ago,
Yeah.
I would have been eating this way my whole life.
Yeah.
And now granted,
Yeah.
I am not like, I don't strictly eat like that anymore. I've done that Whole30 program probably 4 or 5 times. I do it kind of more as a reset, because then after I do it and I'm feeling good, I can stay really close to it for quite some time and, have a little cheat days here and there, but for the most part,
Well, it's 80/20, right? 80% of the time you're dialed in, you're feeling really good, but you have to live life. So you have to have that 20, or maybe it's like 85/15. It all depends upon the person, but you should be able to, you know, go out and have the piece of chocolate cake.
another topic I just wanted to dive into, because we've been talking about our age a lot, is just kind of like the idea of growing old gracefully. I feel like the best way to tap into the fountain of youth is really through health and nutrition. But we live in a world of people wanting to get a quick fix, and plastic surgery is huge, and Botox and fillers and all that stuff. And I am not by any way, shape, or form shaming anybody if that's what they choose to do. I have no judgment there. I do, though, invite them to think about, if they're going down that road, really why they're trying to do it. Is it really about looking better? Or is it the feeling of wanting to stay young? Because I just feel like when you focus on your health, all the things we've talked about, the sleep, the nutrition, the movement, you can not only physically reverse aging, or at least slow the progression. I mean, none of us can truly reverse it. We're going to get older at some point, and I personally don't want to chase down these procedures. I'm okay with the wrinkles in my eyes, and I'm okay with all that stuff. But I really just want to feel better from the inside, because I want to feel comfortable in my own skin at any age. And I want to be proud of where I'm at any age. So you're the poster child for what taking good care of yourself looks like, in terms of the effect that it has on your physical appearance. And you really radiate youth and vitality. You don't feel 48. You don't look 48. And I'm sure you have boundless energy. So if you had to just boil it all down, top 2 or 3 contributors to growing old gracefully, we're not old, growing older, I should say, and keeping our fountain of youth.
I've never stopped moving.
Mm-hmm.
Staying hydrated
Yeah.
is incredibly important. Obviously, nutrition is incredibly important. Now, I have gone through menopause, so I do take hormones. So incredibly grateful for the hormones, because it continues to allow me to do what I want to do. So that helps me sleep. It helps me move without joint pain, helps keep my energy a little bit more elevated. So that's really important to me. So I'm thankful that I have that in my back pocket, and I'm thankful that it works for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also I spend a lot of time with my coworkers where I train, or who I train with, or who I hang out with. They're all like 10 years younger than me. And I am like the old lady in the block, but no one would ever know that I'm the old lady on the block until we're
Right.
talking technology and I need help with Instagram or with the TikTok. And they're all just so, oh, Hollis, they're all so gracious about it. But I love that their energy kind of is contagious. And I feel like I also have a very youthful soul. And I think that helps too. I'm willing to try new things. I want to get out there and do all the things. I am also very stubborn. And when someone tells me no, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to show you. So when people are like, oh, you need to age this way, I'm like, I'm not going to do it.
It's almost a rebellion. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that's a big part of it too. It's I refuse to relinquish to the stereotypes that we associate with aging.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, because when I was young, I used to do Jane Fonda VHS tapes for those young kids. Google what a VHS tape is. I used to do those workouts, and I loved it. I should have known then that this is what
that's what you were going to do.
Right? And now when I still see Jane Fonda, I'm like, she's such an idol. Look she's in her 80s, and look what she's She like refuses to fall into that stereotype and is like, yeah, that's it. That's what I want
That's
to be.
that's
Not as much plastic surgery. She's had a little bit of work
I,
done, but
I was kind of thinking that when you were saying Jane Fonda, I'm like, she has had quite a bit of work done though.
she
Let's not
has had
lie.
a good work
But
done.
but
But
again,
her
it's not to
spirit is
demonize
there.
that either. Like if that's what she
No,
wants to do,
yeah, exactly.
amen, but
But I mean, in full transparency, it's like I'm a fitness professional here in New York City. I've spent many years teaching on camera here in New York City and feeling the pressure of having to look a certain way. And when I started to age and seeing a little bit more aging in my face in particular, I was getting a little nervous, a little uncomfortable about it. And like, I'd go to fitness professional events that are really popular here in New York City. They happen all over the place, and showing up once again as like someone 10, 20 years older than most of the people there. However, still able to hold my own, right?
mm-hmm.
But definitely very apparent that I was older. Like it would have an impact. I would feel it. It would,
Yeah.
um, and then finally, I don't know what the switch was. I was like, no, embrace the fact that I am 48, embrace the fact that I am able to like keep up with all these young kids, that I am able to show up on camera and look this way, because it goes all the way back to the beginning where it's like, I want to be that inspiration for my clients. I want to be the inspiration for my clients' daughters,
Mm-hmm.
granddaughters, right? Like, so that's like that reminder that helps keep me in like, in that like happy place and that
Yeah.
self-awareness, I think too.
Yeah, that's really important. And we forgot to mention the fact that you were the Lululemon ambassador, right, for quite a while.
Yeah.
And,
So I was a
and
Lululemon run ambassador here in New York City, but I also was on Mirror, which was like the digital platform that Lululemon ended up purchasing, and then it became Lululemon Studio. So
okay. I
a
don't want
lot
to
of
give them a bunch
crossover.
of free advertising, but like I just was bringing it up from
Yeah,
the
well,
standpoint of,
they're no longer open. So yeah.
oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just talking about the idea of feeling the pressure to look a certain way, especially if you're working with a company like that who, let's face it, at some point they're going to be like, okay, you're just, not our target market anymore. And you have to be, you have to really embrace yourself and who you are and be feeling good about where you're at and not, like we talked about earlier, not wanting to hide yourself. And if that's what they want, then move on. But you still have to be happy with yourself. So it's good to have that perspective. But I'm kind of curious to break it down a little bit deeper, even like when you talk about good nutrition, for example. For me, a big turning point in even in just my physical appearance was focusing on the sleep and then eliminating processed foods. I'm not going to say I never eat them anymore, but it's very
Yeah.
limited. Limit sugar. I don't drink anymore. I quit drinking in January of this year. I think
Amazing.
alcohol's a big one. I'm not talking about social drinkers who drink one or two glasses at a social event or whatever, but I'm talking about the regular drinkers like I was. Um,
Yeah.
those things for me made a big difference in my just the like I had more wrinkles in my face at that time. I was puffy all the time because I was, putting things
And
that were inflaming me. Yeah. I had like more puffiness around my face, all that stuff. So if you were to break it down into real specifics, let's say 3 things you would tell your clients: stay away from this stuff completely or as much as you can, or add more of this into your diet.
so my like catchphrase is protein and plants.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh, I like that.
because I encourage my clients to build their plate around a lean, high quality protein,
Hmm.
then support that protein with plants. So whether vegetable, fruit, um, grains, nuts, seeds, because that's going to give you fiber. So when I work with my clients, we work with protein goals, we work with fiber goals.
Mm.
And so your fiber then is going to be coming from, hopefully, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, blueberries, strawberries, sweet potatoes, right? Some whole grains, and as minimally processed as possible so that you're getting the full benefit of the food. So we focus so much on the macros, so on your protein, on your carbohydrates, on your fat. We need all of those. But to be optimally living, we need our micros as well, right? So our vitamins and our minerals, and those vitamins and minerals are going to be coming to you in those foods in their whole sources.
Right.
Um, and so the less amount of processing, the better, so that you're getting all of that. And they all work in conjunction, right? It's like, they'll pull out certain nutrients and then individually they're great, but they're not the best because they need like their partner, right? They need their
Mm-hmm.
co-pilot them actually work a little bit better, like D and K, for example, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's like when you can actually eat the whole food and eat all of the ingredients together, it's even better. And so I think really just thinking about building your plate with those whole foods first and foremost, and then crowding out those ultra processed foods. And it's funny because someone actually caught me on
I
it
like that
last week.
term, crowding out. That's a good one.
Yeah, she caught me. She's like, it's so funny. Like, I just don't eat the candies and the sweets that I used to. And I figured it out. I was like, why? Why? Tell me. She's like, because you're having me eat more protein and fruits and veggies. And I was like, yes, you got it. She's like, I did. I love that, like, she had that total epiphany on her own. She's like,
Right.
did you plan it? I said, I sure did.
You're like, yeah, it wasn't an accident.
Yeah, it's all about crowding out, right? So once again, I am hesitant to say don't have, you can't have.
Right.
I focus on what you can have to crowd those things out, right? And then also making like a conscious indulgence or conscious decision. So it's like, that like if you're going to have that glass of wine, it may disrupt your sleep and you're going to wake up and not really feel as fresh, but you're making that decision in that moment. Like, I'm at a party, I want to have a glass of wine with my family. And like, that's different than, like you said, like the everyday drinker,
Like a bad habit of doing it every day
Habit.
kind of thing.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's a reason behind it. There's a thought behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a thoughtless act. So I would definitely say protein plants, hydration.
Mm.
Yes, your water, but also your electrolytes. A lot of people don't realize that they may consume too much water, not enough electrolytes. So if they're feeling like brain fog, a little less snappy, a little tired, they just might need some potassium and magnesium and some sodium, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then most Americans are deficient in omegas, in D, in Bs, right? And so I
Mm-hmm.
always recommend getting a full blood panel so that you as an individual know what supplementation that you need.
Right.
But supplement, that's why it's called that, with
Yep.
those key nutrients that you need. So you're going to start with that healthy diet. You're going to hydrate with the water and electrolytes. Then you're going to supplement with the necessary nutrients that you need that are specific to you. And
Right.
then every 3 months, get your test to make sure that the supplements that you're taking are actually having the benefit that you are hoping for, right? So then if you need to up or stop, you do so at the right time. And then you can maintain, right? So
Right.
to have a benchmark, you need to know where you're starting and then you need to be track it. You can't track unless you actually track.
Right. Yeah. You can think you're doing okay, but until you see the numbers. I was like, ooh, that's a good tip every 3 months. I had never thought about doing it that often. So, um, yeah, that's really important. And
3 to 6 months, it depends on the person, but
I like that you pointed out too about the hydration because I actually went through that where I was working with a functional medicine doctor for about 3 years. I have psoriatic arthritis, so I'm always trying to like make sure I keep my inflammation under control. And I was really working with them on the diet and supplementation to help support that. And we did this InBody test, which I'm sure you're probably familiar with, and it kind of showed that I was dehydrated. I was like, I don't get it. I drink so much water. She's like, you need more electrolytes, especially because the more whole foods you start to eat and the less processed food you eat, you're not getting as much of the salt intake.
exactly. Exactly. And like I think a good reminder is if a food item has a marketing campaign,
Hmm.
read it. And I know that, like I said earlier, like I try not to use the like avoid or don't have or you can't have, but
Right.
that's in general,
It's just an awareness more so.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's exactly just to kind of be a little bit more, yeah, I think awareness is the right way to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good tip. I know we need to wrap. I do want to ask you one other question about what you do for yourself or what you suggest for your clients when you're feeling really overwhelmed or you're feeling like information overload or stress. Or, I mean, we've already talked about exercise being a release. Do you have any other little tips as far as just kind of getting regrounded?
Once again, I think this is so specific to the individual,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and why they have a sense of overwhelm. So for me, living in New York City, I am bombarded with noise people, action, energy, right?
Mm.
I have to counterbalance that. So I find that in meditation, I have a really nice little meditation cushion by my tree with my little crystals in it. I
Mm.
know.
Oh, I'm the same way. I mean,
And I just sit and like find some quiet. And sometimes like I'll either use an app or I'll just put on like bird noises or like
mm-hmm.
just noises just
Right.
because nature is so grounding and I don't have a lot of it. Um, or a walk in nature. So like there are
Mm-hmm.
a couple of places in the city where I can actually walk that is a little bit more quote unquote wild. It's wild for New York City, like the High Line, the side Central Park. So if somebody has access to walk outside, is it just a 5 or 10 minute walk outside?
Yeah.
Nature's so powerful, and when we are disconnected from it, I think that our bodies know. All right,
Right.
so that's a big part of it. Sometimes, you know what? You just might need to like sit in the bathroom with the door closed and the lights off for
Yeah.
5 minutes and just sit and breathe
Yeah.
and like focus on every inhale and exhale.
Mm-hmm. Breathing is
Inhale,
super powerful. Yeah.
exhale, and like feel your diaphragm move, feel your belly move, and just slow down. And our body will respond. So if you actually slow your inhale and exhale, your body will have a positive response and it'll actually like start to bring that sense of calm down. So it's all you really need to do. Like you have the tools, it's
Yeah.
just connecting to it.
Even hearing you do that, I'm sure you've noticed I'm a very like fast talker, fast mover. I do everything fast and I have to be very conscious about slowing down sometimes and just hearing somebody just slow down their rate of speech, slow down their breathing, like that really does work. And the other thing that I heard recently, which I really liked, was because a lot of people are like, meditation ain't my thing. Just like even if you sit in a chair and just shut your eyes down, you don't have to, you're not trying to sleep or take a nap, you're not trying to meditate. Just closing your eyes in a place that's quiet helps all the stimulus that you're talking about that you get auditorily or visually, just shutting all of that out for 5 minutes just helps your brain and your nervous system reset.
Yeah, and not everybody feels comfortable closing their eyes either. So even just like soft gaze will have the same
Oh,
effect on
yeah,
your
good
parasympathetic
call. Good
system.
call.
But
What I know we have to get going, and I just want to make sure people know how they can get in touch with you if they want to work with you.
best way to communicate with me is on Instagram, or the Instagram. It's Hollis M. Tuttle and DMs. I'm in there all the time. So I respond back and forth as frequently as often as possible and then just go from there. And I do a lot of Zooms. People have questions. I just jump on a Zoom. It's so much easier to have a conversation just to answer those questions. And I keep my Instagram as updated as possible when I'm getting ready to release a new program or getting ready to release a new retreat. And otherwise, I'm always taking on new clients. And so, yeah,
And do you work with
I'm,
people virtually? I think I've asked you this before, but just so the audience
oh,
knows.
yes. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yes. Most of my clients are virtual.
Okay. Yeah.
Most,
Yeah.
all of
Because
them.
I'm
Not
on the West
one.
Coast, you're on the East Coast. So it's good to know, good for people to know.
I
Yeah.
have clients in Alaska. I have clients in California and Texas and Oklahoma and Kentucky, Cape Cod and Florida. Like, I mean, I am like everywhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
do you have any specific program right now or retreat that you still have open spots for or anything?
I'm getting ready to release a new 8-week strength program. It's just a standalone program that you can do as often as you'd like. It's like an evergreen program. I have one already out. I released them on my birthday, so I have a new one
Oh,
coming up.
fun.
And then I'll be releasing information on my upcoming retreat. And then hopefully, more after that. So
Cool. Well, very
yeah,
good. Well, thank
thank
you
you.
so much for being here. I think this conversation will really help inspire people and make people realize there is really a connection between, connecting to yourself, listening to your intuition, your soul as a means to, or I should say, improving their health and going on a health journey as a means to connect to those things. So I think that was a really good insight. And you're a pro. So if there's anybody that they should take advice from, it's you. So
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. And it's been such a pleasure to see you and to chat with you and to allow me to share so much that I'm so passionate about. So thank you. It's been
awesome. Great to reconnect to you as well. And we'll be in touch.
sounds good. Have a wonderful
Okay.
day.
Thanks. Take care, Hollis. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to this conversation with Hollis Tuttle. If she inspired you as much as she inspired me, be sure to check out her House of Hustle app and her website for more information on her retreats. All information will be in the show notes. And please share it with a friend who's on their wellness journey. Make sure to also subscribe to My Soul Connection so you'll never miss an episode, and rate and review it too, wherever you listen. Until next time, keep connecting with your soul.